Welcome to the Poetic Resurrection podcast, where we explore perceptions. How self-reflecting questions can give you a better understanding of self. I'm your host, Sonia Iris Lozada. Stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Poetic Resurrection. This week, we have CEO Spoken King. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am doing great. I'm really happy to have you on the show. And you are going to read the Black King song, which I really like, by the way.
Thank you. All right, y'all, here we go. Yes, I know who I am. I'm a Black king. Yes, I am more than just a man. So just listen to my story because I want to tell it the best way I can. The world recently started to love me, from my bronze skin to my afro, from my braids to my dreads that bear many knowledge. So tell me who from the beginning was actually thinking higher. Our knowledge helped the world to rise to a higher power. Many say they see my visions and my dreams, and many in my aspirations to heal people from a role that the world wanted us to play. But down in the trenches, many people start to think a different way, leaving a king with many tears of unforeseen dreams, choosing his family over things God blessed him to have to bless the world. So the question is, are you doing the right thing? Because if God gives you a talent to bless the world, he may be using you to connect with another person across the world. Too many of us are sleeping on our dreams. Instead of being woke, too many of us are driving off of the street of life and falling into the ditch of broken promises and dreams untold. The dilemma the Black King holds. So don't stop our growth. Too many untold dreams lie before my eyes. I refuse to be another statistic in the world's mind. Suicide used to be Satan's way to cover my eyes. Thank you, Lord, for waking up my third eye. This is why now I can give you many excuses why I failed. But how many of you will realize I didn't stay knocked down, but I rose up time after time? Led by the Holy Spirit and the glory divine, I know if I keep on pushing, my dreams of peace and finishing the race will be mine. This is the Black King song. This is not our ordinary rhyme. The true kings walk in the land of the blind with one eye. We bear scars that hold the ultimate truth. People say they are afraid of no man, but are afraid of progression. The truth is you can never be afraid of what tomorrow will bring. Just live for today, our present, because tomorrow is unforeseen. This is the true process of a Black king. We bear many crowns and rings, but deep down inside, this is the song we sing just to hold our family up so they won't ever have to sink.
Beautiful. I mean, it has so much history within that poem.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And when I wrote that poem, I was just thinking about like, we hear so much on the news and stuff like that. And for the longest time, Black people been trying to say, hey, look, we Black, we beautiful and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, they just around the corner, like very recently, we became the newest, hottest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
and I just wrote that because I always saw that as funny, like as a Black man and growing up in a Black family. And even in the brown families, some of us was just looking at the whole situation like, oh, so y'all love us now? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think so many years people just didn't listen.
mm-hmm.
I think the information was there, but it was like, oh no, that can't. Some of it is so bad that a lot of people didn't believe it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But it really was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think since the Black Lives Matter,
Mm-hmm.
people are really listening more because everybody marched on that. It didn't matter on the color of your skin. It was just about equality.
Exactly.
Because,
exactly.
At that time is Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then, then there was the attack on the Asian people. It's just, there's a dichotomy and people are fighting that change, but change is going to happen.
Oh yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
can't fight change. It's like trying to fight getting old. You're going to get old if you're still alive.
Exactly. And it's like certain things, when you growing up, you're like, okay, why can I not, say this or say that? And your parents had to explain to you like the horrible history and stuff. And like, so then you have, as a kid, you be asking more questions like, well, why did they think like that? And that's why I wrote that poem, because I was like, at the same time, looking at it as a grown up, but also looking at life in a child's eyes. Like they like, yo, why y'all fighting? Like, what's the whole point? Like, and so when you break down life, like how it says in the Bible and stuff, when you look through a child's eyes, you see God. You know what I'm saying? Because what they mean by that, they mean like you break down all the negative and you just see the pure. And you be like, so why are you hating because this person is doing this? Why are you hating because this person over here is this color or that color, or they speak different, or they look different than you,
Yeah, and they have a belief that's different.
Yeah, your belief that's different. I tell a lot of people, like, I'm a Christian, but I don't judge. I'm like, I told somebody, I said, my most interesting conversation was when you had a Christian and an atheist to sit down. We was just talking about the game.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, and I told somebody, I said, look, he knows where I stand and he respects it. And he knows where I stand and he respects it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, when you have that respect factor, you could do a lot in the world. And that's the whole point of the Black King song, because in the King's eyes, he don't just look at what's going on with A and B. He looks at what's going on with the whole alphabet.
Yeah.
And trying to come up with the best solution. So
yeah, I don't think that as humanity we can rise up with the dichotomy based on culture and religion. Because if you really read scriptures And I'm fascinated by scriptures. I was raised Catholic,
Yes.
but I'm fascinated because if you look at their scripture, they have different names for things, but it's basically all the same stories.
Exactly.
And they have maybe their God is a different, name or how they can, but the stories are basically the same. So to me, it shows me that we are just basically the same too. We just have to stop that separation. I think the pandemic did a lot of good things as well. I mean, it was devastating really, because I was very fearful for my parents, but it also made you think about what's really more important. Look at how many people quit their jobs and they had nothing else to go to. It's like, whatever, I just can't do it anymore. But I want to get back to your poem.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
Oh, no, it's not you. It's me. I just kept rambling off it. Okay. Because we covered that the Black Lives Matter. We covered that section of it. Our knowledge helped the world to rise to a higher power. Can you explain that? Is that in the history of it, or is it in current times that you are referring to that?
No, I'm talking about history, like before me and you was even walking on the earth. I'm going way back, like into, like when you talk about the African culture, people are starting to figure out that, oh shoot, we pretty much all almost have ties to this one continent. I'm like, so that's where that message came in. Like, our knowledge helped the world to rise to a higher power. Because think about it, when you think about Egypt, what's the first thing you think about? The pyramids.
Even before that, I mean, you got Neanderthal man, and there
exactly.
I actually was studying something else. I'm writing a story about Neanderthal, and people thought that they were stupid, but they weren't. They had burials. There were actually 7 humanoid cultures living on Earth at one point. It's all based, from the continent of Africa.
Yeah.
And then went into Europe.
So imagine that knowledge that started in Africa started spreading out to the whole world. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful line. And my aspiration to heal people from a role the world wanted us to play. Are you referring to control or losing control or manipulation?
Yeah, it was pretty much like, let's take hip hop, for example. There's certain people that think when they see somebody like us, oh, you dress like this, you dress like that, So, that's where that line came from. It's almost like like if you try to discriminate, something like that. But that's the role that they want us to play. But some of us is smarter than what they thought we were. So,
leaving a king with many tears of unforeseen dreams. Explain the unforeseen dreams and leaving the king.
Well, there's that saying, like, people have regrets. You know what I'm saying? There's many people that's went through the line of history that's had regrets of mistakes that they made. That's where that line came in. It was more of, we don't want to leave this world with tears of unforeseen dreams.
Leaving a king and many tears of unforeseen dreams. You mentioned that the unforeseen dreams are, what was that again?
Like, it's unforeseen dreams. Like, for example, when I wrote that, I was thinking about like all the people that's been shot, murdered, stuff like that. Someone would like have, dreams of being great things, but their lives was cut down short.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where that line was referring to right there.
Oh, okay. Perfect. What I do also like is chasing his family over things God blessed him to have. So, choosing his family over the things God blessed him to have. Now, are you referring here as to family and God being different, or Is it
No,
because of separation of it?
no, I was talking about the choices in life, that people make. Like you have a choice to have to be like, for example, an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
They will have a choice of accepting this contract that would keep them away from their family for X amount of time. They be on the road, not be able to see them, or do they want to be with their family and make less money, but at the same time they will have more blessing. It's
Yeah.
like it's like that teeter-totter, decision making that every person has to go through in life. Like, are you going to choose your family or what you want?
Yeah.
So
Trying to find that balance. I mean, it'd be
yeah,
nice to have both.
exactly. It's good
Yeah.
to have both, but sometimes in life, you gotta choose. Do you want to go down this road because you know exactly what they're gonna ask of you?
Yes.
Or do you want to just say, I'd rather spend time with my family than to, be away from them where they hardly even know me. So,
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. You're talking about long-term stuff.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, long term. Yeah.
Yeah. Another part, I like this whole section.
Hmm.
He may be using you to connect with another person across the world. Too many of us sleep on our talents and dreams. So
Hmm.
cool. Too many of us drive off the street of life.
Hmm.
I mean, it's pretty self explanatory, but I really thought that those were really great, profound lines
Hmm.
because it really does describe how he may be using you to connect with another person across the world, which I think as poets, that's what we do.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
And I have to admit that the first time I realized that was when I was starting to find my niche in poetry and stuff. Because 2020, I've found the poetry community and stuff, which I've been searching for a long time.
Mhm.
You know, but I finally found them because everybody had to go online and stuff. So I started posting different poetry, groups and stuff like that on Facebook and, sharing it on Instagram and stuff like that. And the waves of people that it was impacting, I was like, what? Y'all like this?
Yeah.
Y'all like what I'm saying?
Well, it resonates if
it,
it's true. I mean, when you
yeah,
tell the truth, it
yeah.
resonates with people.
And I be hearing like a whole lot of people that come on my show that say they went and learned this from a teacher this, teacher that. But for me, it was like when I had a pen and paper in front of my hand, I was just started writing like journal entries at first, and then all of a sudden it turned into poetry and stuff like that, and I started getting more deep, like doing more deep soul writing, and it just started turning into what is like the product today and stuff. So
Yeah.
I can't actually tell people who taught me what. I was like this. I just got a pen and a pad and just started writing, like, because that's all I knew I had to do was just keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. And once I got all the anger out, that's
Yeah.
when poetry started to flow in a different way into more positive tones. So,
Yeah, it's amazing how poetry is so therapeutic.
oh yes, oh yes,
Yeah.
and it
To-
still is my therapy to this day.
yeah. And sometimes you write stuff like I'll write something and because something pissed me off, and I go, I gotta
Yeah,
let it go. Because
yeah,
when you can't let stuff go, it affects
yeah,
you,
yeah.
you
And
know?
some people are verbal. They could sit down, talk with people and stuff like that, get it out that way. And then you have people like me that just I'll be like this. No, just give me a pen and pad. Let me go ahead and write it out. Let me go write it out because I don't know how to phrase it or how to do it. But if you put a pen and a pad in front of my hand, it just comes out perfectly right because I'm just leaving it there.
Yeah.
And that'd be like, okay, the next page.
Yeah. And it's amazing how so much truth comes from that, because, and I think, and I've discussed this with other poets, is like, you get people that say, wow, you're talking about stuff that I felt, but I was ashamed, or I didn't want to talk to anybody about it, but I'm glad I'm not alone. And I think that as a society is the part that we want to know we're not alone.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's humans. I think that goes across the board. So there was another line that I like. Too many of us drive off the street of life. That was when I thought of that. I thought, when people want to be altered because they can't deal with life.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, too many of us, get so wrapped up into what we want to be and can't accept what life has us to become, and we have to be. Some of us just like drive off the street of life and just say, you know what, it ain't even worth it.
You know what I find, that when people feel that life isn't worth it, it's their perception of what they think their life should be, and they're not living up to that life that they think that they should live, instead of looking at life as is and what you're feeling.
And I gotta admit, I just recently learned that. So yeah, it took a hard road to get there, but yeah, I got there.
Yeah, I did. I have a quote as I meditate, and that's how I get over writer's block and all that kind of stuff. What is going on here? And then the quote popped in my head: perfection is a perception. Because what you think is perfect is different from what I think is perfect. So it's a total perception. It's not even true. It's like when people say, I'm telling you the truth is they're giving you an honest opinion. It's their truth. It's not the truth,
Yes, indeed.
Yes. So let me go on to another line. I always try to interpret and feel what all poets are saying. Too many untold dreams lie before my eyes. Now, did you mean lie, like lay in front of you?
Yeah.
Or did you mean lie, like a lie, like the untruth?
No. Like it lied in front of you.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Most people would think it was lies and stuff. I was just trying to be, a little creative and stuff like that. Just was like, yo, something is missing in this part right here. So, and, I had like the beginning, I had the end, but it was just that one word that was missing. I was like, okay, let's see if it works. Works, okay, cool.
Yeah, because it could have two different interpretations. Is it in front of you or is it lying to you? So I think that's kind of a cool line. Suicide used to be Satan's way to cover my eyes. And are you referring to society as Satan's way?
When I said like suicide was Satan's way to cover my eyes, I was actually referring to a time when I was 16. And at the same time, when I was 16, was the same time that I even like rededicated my life, started, changing my ways and stuff. But it was just funny how I came so close. And then as time went on, as I got older and stuff, I started realizing that when you live life, you don't think about stuff like that. And also on top of that, that's a way for the devil, the Satan, Lucifer, bad guy, whatever, however you want to say it, however you believe it, the negative energy will win.
Yeah.
So that's what that line was referring to.
It's strange. There's so many different philosophies about suicide. There's the Japanese think it's honorable to do it to save your family.
Yeah.
I find that in most other world religions, including reincarnation, that if you commit suicide, you're just bound to come right back and live this life again because you didn't learn your lessons.
Yeah.
So
what's the whole point of, doing that over and over again if you're going to have the same results over and over and
Yeah.
over again. That's more like a hell.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why certain world religions think of it as like you'll go to hell if you kill yourself, because you're going to come back, and until you learn that lesson, you're going to just keep reliving the same life. You know, like I learned a lot of lessons in my life, and I don't want to come back. I want to be done.
Mm-hmm.
There's another line I have: my prayers of peace and finishing the race. Were you thinking of the race as mankind, the race, or the race in the life you are currently living?
Well, when I was talking about that line, I was actually talking about, you know, trying to finish the race that you running. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
So that's what's going on with that.
But we are afraid of progression, which I find that to be so true.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, there's so much I could say about that. You could look at it from the time that we should have been progressing. Too many of us was arguing. And that's still going on to this day. And that's been going on since I was a baby coming out the womb. And we still haven't learned our lesson. We doing a rinse, lather, and repeat, rinse, lather, and repeat, rinse, lather, repeat. And I just wrote it down on the line, just stayed the facts out. I'm like,
You know, unfortunately, as human beings, I think we need to be hit over the head sometimes.
oh, yes.
You know, because right now we're in a pandemic, which is basically another plague.
Mm-hmm. It's just a nicer word for it.
Yes, exactly. I saw a meme that said, well, I guess we should not be saying avoid it like the plague, because obviously people are not avoiding the plague.
Oh, no, they're not avoiding the plague.
No. And if you look throughout history, the Black Plague actually happened twice. It happened in the 1300s and the 1500s, but after the 1500s, we got the Renaissance period.
Mm-hmm.
When we got the one in 1918, then we got the Roaring 20s after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be real curious to see what happens with this one.
Oh, it's a revolution.
It is a revolution, but there's usually
it's definitely a revolution going on, because I could see it in it's in music, it's in everything that you turn on now. I'm like, it's out there in the open. So,
and people are speaking their truth, even though their truth might be biased or hateful or whatever.
Exactly. Well, we just pray for them right there.
Yeah, there's no sense in hating, because then that's your karma. You know, you send out love, you send out good vibes to them that they may be happier. Because I think a lot of hate and anger comes from unhappiness and of lack. If you think of lack, you blame people for progressing. And I mean, I don't agree with it, because if I'm going to be angry with someone because they're getting ahead in their lives, do I want to do what they're doing? Most likely no. So why would I even be upset about it? I don't want to do what they're doing.
Exactly. When I was talking about the progression, I was talking about like the bigger picture, like what was in the 1990s, what was the biggest thing you said that you thought about when you came into the 2000s? Because I know for me, it was like Back to the Future. I was ready for the flying skateboard and the flying car and everything. Coming to the 2000s, I'm still riding a Honda.
Yeah. You know? And the thing is, we actually have the technology.
Exactly.
To do all of this stuff, but it would be from solar power versus oil. I mean, we could use oil for other things. It's not like, it's like people were fighting tobacco, you know, they have to have people smoke. No, you know that tobacco can be used as a pesticide. It's a natural pesticide. You know, so it's like, we can use it for that. It doesn't mean you're going to go out of business. You know,
exactly.
You might put out the pesticide companies that want to use chemicals, but
yeah, exactly.
But it's a natural pesticide. Everything in nature already takes care of itself. We just have to understand it.
And that's why I kind of created that line, you know, and love that line, and it's just the fact that we have all this technology, we have all this wisdom and power, but are we really using it, or are we trying to blame this person over here for doing this over here and that person doing that over there? I hate to say this, but yeah, you look this color, so you automatically guilty. Go over here. No, I don't like you because you wear a blue uniform and stuff. Like, where are we going to wake up and start to build together and grow together?
Yeah.
Like,
we need to get rid of those biases because
mm-hmm.
we're really all the same.
Exactly.
We're really all the same. It's like you're fighting. I love that people say, well, they're different and they're this and that. I go, you know what? If God is really our Father, then we're all his children or her children.
Yeah, he is her. And look at here.
I think of God as an energy. Go ahead.
Exactly. Pretty much that's what he is. He's an energy. You can't see him, but you know he's there.
Yes.
You can't touch him, but you know it's real, because like this is my biggest thing I used to tell people, and we get back to the poem in a little bit. Okay, so if you don't think there's a God, if you don't think there's an energy or a being that's higher than all this that's going on in life, make me a star. Make me a moon. Make me a planet where you have the moon circling around that planet and never once crashes into that planet. And then after you're done with that, make sure you have about like as many planets as you want, but in the middle you have a sun that's nuclear beyond human capability.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to be able to handle it and make sure that it keeps all these other planets going around in a circle, but never once none of them crash into it and it don't crash into them.
Yeah. And the thing that's fascinating about that is that we're just one solar system.
Exactly.
In the Milky Way. And
exactly.
They're studying now, because the satellites that are now past Pluto, that there's actually a huge planet behind Pluto, and Pluto's no longer a planet. It got demoted. But
it got demoted again.
It got demoted. There's actually a big planet, but they couldn't see it because they would only see like an outline. But now they're realizing we haven't been able to get that far. But with the last one of the last satellites is supposed to pass that, if it hasn't passed it already. They found that there's like thousands of Earth-like planets just in our universe. So we're just like really spread out. We're far away, because if you look, there's more planets that are more clustered and suns that are clustered closer together. But it's fascinating that now we can actually scientifically see this. Stuff that guys talked about in the 1500s when they were looking through telescopes and saying, well, this, or if you look at Native American culture that talks about the Pleiades, you couldn't see the Pleiades with your naked eye, and they didn't have telescopes, but they knew the stories, and they knew about the planets, and they knew where they were situated. It's fascinating to me about how much we actually know, but yet don't know. It's
exactly. Come on now.
Yeah. It's that God energy or Akashic records, or however you want to see it.
Yeah.
That energy of information. And I feel like we're, what do they call it? IV'd, like an IV drip, the information when we're ready for it. We're going to close off the poem.
Okay.
We bear many crowns and many rings. Now I'm interested about the rings. Are you talking about the jewelry? Or are you talking about life and its rings? Like I thought of, when I read that, I thought of a tree. When you cut the tree, you can see all the rings, so you see life.
Well, actually, I kind of meant both, because I'm gonna explain to you the rings. Okay, so imagine you picturing a king. He bears the crown to let the world know that, hey, he's the man of the house, or whatever, or, he's the one all be all of the kingdom, you know what I'm saying? And a queen wears her crown to let the world know that she's the queen of the house or the queen of this land or this country and stuff, right? The rings part is based on they bear many rings, meaning they bear many talents, they bear many gifts, they bear many obstacles. Whatever you bear is what you hold in your hand. So what does mankind have on their fingers? Rings. That's how the rings came in.
That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Just to hold a royal family up so they don't ever have to sink.
Oh yeah. Now that was something that I was taught by, my dad. My dad said, son, when you get older, many people want to talk about they want to be a king. They want to be the man of the house. But this man, he sat down and he taught me a lot. He was like, yo, he said to me, son, many people want to be kings, but they don't know that a king is the one that holds his wife up, his children up, so that they would never have to, go through the brunt, feeling the pain. Or, you try to. Many guys try their best to hold their family up. And, some can, and because they financially said and stuff. And some be like this, okay, I'm going to go underwater, but y'all going to live. You know what I'm saying? Y'all keep on going.
Yeah.
So that's where that part comes in. Like, you hold your world family up. It's like you hold your wife up, your kids up, your dreams up, your destiny up. Even though you may not make it through, at least they would keep on going and keeping your legacy going too. So
I grew up poor, so we never questioned being loved.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I knew that was there. I never had to question it whatsoever. In fact, it was weird because when I left home, I thought everybody would love me like my family. No.
Exactly.
You realize you get older and it's like, you leave home and you have to earn people's love and well, at least be honest to yourself. And I think if you're honest to yourself, I think people gravitate towards that too.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I said, and that's where that line came to effect, because it was actually a tribute to both my dad and this painting that I saw. And it was a painting that I saw, like, I think on Facebook, where it was like you had the wife and the kids literally on the back of the husband while they was going through the water.
Oh, wow.
So he at the bottom and the water is right here at his neck. So he has to hold his head up, but his wife and his kids, he made sure that they was out of the water, but he went through the water so that they would live and stuff. So it was a deep painting. So
it's amazing how a picture can tell an entire story.
I love it. That's why I dedicated my podcast to the arts, because I'm like, yo, we do poetry. We when we say poetry, we put the image in somebody's brain, like verbally. With a painter, they put the image in a person's brain visually, but it's the same concept.
Yes.
I love it.
Me too. Sometimes when I'm stuck on what to write, I start looking at pictures.
Oh yeah.
And then it just boom comes to you. You're like, wow, it's like, and now I have a poem, or at least I have a couple lines that I could elaborate on. One of my questions, because we covered a lot of your personal stuff that I was going to ask you, but that's
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's perfect, because to me it was even better because it wove in to the poem, and I like that very much, because a poem is a story, so it tells usually a life story. When did you start writing?
I started writing actually at the age of 16, but how long I've been around poetry, it's been longer than that. Because my mom, she used to take me to church when she was in the choir and stuff. So I got a little bit of that musical side in me,
Mm-hmm.
like the gospel side. Because when you around something for so long, it's embedded in you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
the poetry side actually came in as when I was talking about, my therapy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
At the age of 16, that was a way for me to release. Either I was going to do a journal entry, which I have in a white binder, and I'm going to put the word danger on it because I'm like, yo, that's the dark side. it got more words than a little bit, so you read on your own caution.
Yeah.
But as time went on, my journal entries started turning into poetry and stuff. Just for at first, it was just something for me to do, just to be goofy and stuff, make myself smile or something. Like I think my first poem was like the cliched roses is red or something. I tried to like
Yep.
switch it up around or something. But then all of a sudden it started turning into something where I was using just to release some stuff. And people started, even back when I was in high school, was like, yo, you good, you got a talent and stuff. I'm like, but I never saw it with my own eyes. So
Yeah.
if you don't see the talent with your own eyes, then it's not there.
No. You don't pursue it as
Yeah.
something as a career or
Yeah.
anything. It's just a passion that you keep to yourself. I mean, as a poet, I threw all my poetry in the drawer. I didn't want anybody to see it. It was for
Exactly.
me.
And that's how I was. And I'm noticing that with interviewing other poets and stuff, we somewhat got the same tale, like, yo, I don't want nobody to actually see this and stuff. But when we
Mhm.
get older, we like this, oh, screw it. We going
Yes.
all in.
Yeah, I did that with my first book because it's called Inspire Me Raw and it's all these raw emotions. But I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? And it was funny because I was on with Amazon and I had
Hmm.
my finger on she kept saying publish. I'm like,
Hmm.
publish. And it
Yeah.
was, it was really hard. I finally hit publish.
Yeah.
And I said, well, now the world's going to know. I have
Yeah.
to deal with it.
And I kid you not, that's how I felt about Dominique's words and stuff. I'm like, uh, okay. I had the manuscript up and stuff like that. Like it wasn't no problem writing the book. No, it wasn't no problem writing the poetry in the book. No, it was the problem when you written all the information down and you're down to that word publish. You're like, huh? I was thinking about I'm just putting this as a joke here. I was like, yo, should I go get me some whiskey? Let me go get me some Mary Jane. Let me clear my head. Let me get in a pasta of spaceman. And also I said, push the button.
What are you hesitating for?
Yeah.
I know that little voice in your head. And
Yo.
the woman on the other side of Amazon was saying, hit publish, because she's waiting for me to hit publish
Yeah.
so she can see the manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, it was hard. I said,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it, but you know what? Got great reviews from it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was
Exactly.
terrified to release that.
Mm-hmm.
So on
I know the feeling.
Dominique's words, who
Mm-hmm.
is Dominique's? Dominique, did you write that
Um,
after someone or is it?
No, no, no. That's actually just a character I came up in my brain.
Oh, okay.
Um, like all the characters in the book, there's no relations or anything. They just a character in my brain and stuff. So
Oh, okay. So it's one of
yeah,
the characters in the story, the
yeah,
main
it's
lead,
just
the main
it's
character.
yeah. He's the main character, and then as the book goes on, you learn about the other characters and stuff. But he's a poet and stuff that his past came back to try to defeat him, you know what I'm saying? But he was in a better state of mind. So you gotta read the book and see how it all put together because I'm not trying to tell the whole plot and stuff, but
No, and you shouldn't.
yeah, but yeah, it's a good book though.
What would you like to say to the audience before we close?
Oh, I just want to say, thank y'all for having me on, and it's a pleasure to be able to, have my work out there, and people to know about it and stuff like that. So, hey, thank y'all.
Thank you so much for being on the show. And how can they reach you?
You can reach me actually at CEO Spoken King on Facebook. That will have all my stuff that I'm working on, like my podcast, my live podcast when I go live and stuff like that. And yeah, I also have my YouTube on there and Instagram. I got everything on there. So
all your contacts are on there. I'll also, for the audience, I'm going to put all his contacts in the notes so you could click through real quickly. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. I love your poem, and keep up the good work. We need to hear from voices like yours.
Okay, well, I'm glad that y'all enjoyed it, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for listening to the Poetic Resurrection podcast, available on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Music, and many other podcast platforms. Please visit us and subscribe to our newsletter at poeticresurrection.com for the latest information and updates.